The bullet should have killed me. Instead, it crowned me above a sea of gray fog. A hall unrolled from the mist as if memory had been poured into architecture and set to harden. Pillars without capitals or end steps that rose from nowhere to an invisible daze, a bronze-minus dark table long enough to host a council of the dead. Chairs faced me whose backs were stitched with star-minus patterns I couldn't name. The air tasted like old paper and thunder. My right hand shook once and stilled when I pressed it to the tabletop. It felt warm, like a hearth that remembered a family. Two figures coalesced across from me as if the fog had decided on them. One looked like a sailor roughed by weather and secrets, shoulders squared because seas do not pity slouching men. The other was a young woman with a posture that told of recitals and tutors. Her gaze had the brightness of someone taught to see the world as a solvable puzzle. Both were a little unreal, edges smudged by that crimson tint that haunts dreams in the moments before waking. "Where is this?" the sailor asked, lowering his voice in a way that assumed ships listened. He did not ask who I was. He was already measuring me. The young woman's question arrived softer but cut cleaner. "Are we dead?" It sounded more like an experiment than a fear. I did not know. I could lie, or I could choose an answer that would keep me alive long enough to learn the truth. The chair at the head of the table waited, heavy with an expectation that felt nothing like invitation and everything like duty. I sat because refusing a stage does not unbuild the theater. "I am a host," I said, "not a god." The sentence surprised me with its balance. "Call me the fool." The word fit like a key turned from the wrong side of a door, their attention pinned to me. The fog accepted the name and folded it into its weather. Somewhere beneath the table, no, beneath the hall itself, something deep and slow pulsed as if the world had a heartbeat and was politely waiting for me to speak between its beats. I set my palm on the bronze again and felt it throb once. The gray fog did not move, but my thoughts did. They lurched back to a mirror, a wound, and a moon that was the color of a fresh bruise. Tinian by night wears its own fog, not the gray of this hall, but the kind that climbs out of alleys and hangs against street lamps until every pool of light looks like a question. On the worst evenings, a crimson ring halo at the moon, and no one could agree whether it was weather or omen. The night my life changed, the ring was too bright to be polite. I woke because pain does not ask permission. It flashed at my right temple with the clean, dry bite of a paper cut made of lightning. For a second the room was a smear, then the spinning slowed and the edges returned to the world. Floorboards, a cheap table with one leg shim met by a folded newspaper, coats on a nail. I recognized none of it and all of it. The way you recognize a song you've never heard because your hands already know where the notes will fall. The mirror over the wash basin offered a face I wore like a borrowed coat. The man staring back had my eyes because I was using them, but everything else felt like an inheritance with strings attached.